Yes, I just wondered if you were worried about the future of comedy on BBC at all.
Do the BBC do comedy at the moment? I didn't... well...
Meow.
I mean, give me a break. So this is... Ofcom have now said that the genre of comedy on the BBC is at risk. And this is the fourth year that they've said that it is at risk. Francis, is it at risk?
It's not at risk, because something can't be at risk if it's dead.
Yeah. What happened, though? Because, I mean, let's be honest. Do you remember when there was that... you know, they were talking about all the great comedies that the BBCs have produced over the last 30 years. And someone produced a list online, but they're all dated from the 90s or the 80s. There was nothing really in this millennium coming out of the BBC that people really value.
Well, this is the problem. The problem is within the BBC is they're so terrified of having people complain, of not being seen to be, you know, progressive or whatever word you want to use, that the problem is that the majority of comedy, there needs to be a butt of a joke. It's why the joke is called a punchline. You need to be punching at something. But if you're trying to make comedy that is perpetually kind and doesn't offend people, what you're going to create is something completely toothless, anodyne and bland.
I mean, we say this. We all know people who do appear on BBC and comedy shows.
And we do hate them, yes, you're right.
And we hate them. It sounds resentful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, isn't that really what this is about? We're just jealous.
I am jealous. I'd love to do live at the Apollo. I'll never get on it because they just want... the thing about BBC comedy is they pick people to fit certain demographics because they want to show diversity, but they don't show diversity of opinion. And because they're just picking people based on demographics, they're not picking the funniest people. There's, you know, the insanely funny people who don't get picked, even though they would fit that demographic. Also, they're insanely biased and unrepresentative, considering they've got a state mandate to be representative of the population. 98%. They did a study of BBC comedians who have a political bias. 98% of them were left-wing, and 2% of them were Jeff Norcott. So it's ridiculous. And also, they openly propagate racist ideology, which is just insane to me. I was watching, my wife was watching this dumb show for women called Love Life, and two black characters were texting each other saying, like, oh, don't you ever just Google ugly white babies? And they're sharing pictures of white babies saying, oh, that baby's so ugly, it's going to vote for Trump. And can you imagine if that was reversed and it was me and Francis tweeting that about black babies? We'd be in jail.
To be fair, what you just said sounds quite funny to me, but maybe it's just the way you do it. But Leo, you know that there's a problem here because, like, for instance, well, we both know, we were both part of a pilot for a Radio 4 comedy show.
Yeah.
And when they announced that we were involved, lots of people went online and said they were going to turn up, protest with air horns to make sure that and they would block book tickets and then not turn up so that it didn't work. I think in the end they got rid of 800 tickets and I think 45 people showed up. So why are people so angry about comedy that they don't like?
And the worst thing is, for BBC shows, you can't charge for the tickets. So I wouldn't mind 800 people, like, block booking tickets if they all paid a tenner.
Yeah.
That'd be great. But yeah, they weren't. And they were angry about something that didn't even exist.
Yeah, that was
it hadn't been created yet. So how can they judge it? How can they prejudge it? Prejudging sounds a bit like prejudice to me.
It does rather. Thank you, Leo, for that lesson.